Hey, what's happening? Coach Ryan family here from the Fat Loss Solution. Today I want to talk to you about a question that I get all the time. And that is, Coach Ryan, what makes for an awesome butt-kicking, metabolic boosting, fat-burning exercise? You know, when I travel around, I go to different gyms, I see a lot of poor, misguided souls using ineffective exercise in order to try to reach their goals. Now, let me be really clear here at the outset. If you exercise simply because you enjoy it, and you like the health benefits from moving your body, then really no exercise is off limits. You can do whatever you like. If, however, you have a goal of losing body fat, there are better ways to do it than others, okay? So today I'm going to talk about what makes a best choice for a fat burning exercise. Now, again, all types of exercise can be included in your program. It's not a matter of if you're doing one of these wrong, you know, should you immediately stop? No. The point is, if you have a limited time frame and you only have 45 minutes, 3 days a week to train, you'd better be doing the most optimal exercises than leaving the rest of the stuff out of your program. Okay? With that being said, let's get on to it. The first thing that I think qualifies an exercise as being a great fat burning exercise is that it needs to utilize a lot of muscle mass, or a total body exercise. I think it's no surprise if I were to flick my finger like this for 30 minutes, yeah, my finger might get tired, but I won't get out of breath. It won't really elevate my heart rate very much. It doesn't involve a lot of muscle mass, which means it doesn't involve a lot of oxygen consumption. If it doesn't involve a lot of oxygen consumption over the long haul, it's not going to end up burning a lot of body fat for you. So it needs to involve muscles of the total body. So things like squats, deadlifts, those are great choices for fat burning exercise as opposed to bilateral finger flicks, okay? The next one, and I'm opening a can of worms here, the exercise needs to be done on a stable surface. Yes, that's right. So if you're doing lunges on a Bosu ball, if you're trying to squat while standing on a Swiss ball, you're wasting your time if your effort is fat loss. That kind of stuff has its place. Very, very limited, I might add, in physical therapy when you're trying to re-educate muscles how to fire. And if you have, say, a whiplash injury and the cerebellum of your brain isn't working properly, then balance exercises do have their place. What balance exercises do not do is train the core more. This has been demonstrated in research. You get greater core activation using heavier loads on a stable surface than you do on a wobbly surface. It does not tone or tighten your abs or burn more body fat, because generally you're doing less total mechanical work. So if you compare, let's say you can squat 300 pounds for 10 reps with a bar on your back on a flat surface, and while standing on a Bosu ball, you may only be able to hold 40 pounds to do your 10 rep squats because your balance is off. What that means is you're doing a lot less total mechanical work. And again, total mechanical work is important because that's what ultimately determines how much oxygen you consume and how much oxygen you need to get the job done. And lower amounts of oxygen consumed means less fat burn, plain and simple, period, okay? The next principle for selecting correct fat burning exercise is it needs to be an exercise that can generate maximum outputs, either in loads used, in speed of execution, or in maximal oxygen consumption if aerobic work is your cup of tea. So one example is squats and deadlifts. Okay, those are infinitely loadable to the point where you can truly find your 10 repetition max, or the most weight you can do for 10 reps, or the most weight you can do for 20 reps. This is going to provide a lot more of a fat burning effect than, say, just doing bodyweight squats for 35 minutes. Next one is loadable in terms of, I'm jumbling here, sorry. The next principle is that it needs to be potentially high in maximal speed. So if we compare sprinting versus doing step aerobics, where you're just stepping up at an average pace, you're going to get a lot more of a calorie burn out of maximal sprinting because it allows for a maximal speed output. And finally, maximum oxygen consumption. So if you do like to include aerobic work in your program, you need to get a lot of bang for your buck. And cross-country skiing or Nordic skiing has the highest maximal oxygen consumption of any other aerobic activity. So if that's you like to do your aerobics, find somewhere cold, strap on some skis, get to work. So now we've kind of talked a little bit about what are the most optimal options. In my opinion, squats, deadlifts, sprints, jumps, things like that. Now we can talk about some suboptimal options. Now, I have to be clear, this does not mean you cannot include these in your fat loss program. It just means that if you're strapped for time, there are better options. So one we'll talk about is the elliptical. Everyone loves the elliptical. It's been touted as a great fat loss exercise, low impact, which that by all means is a benefit if you've got bad joints. The problem is on the elliptical, you're actually not even using your own body weight. It's like a stand-up stationary exercise bike. So generally when it comes to fat loss, you want to use exercises like sprinting. You have to produce force against your own body weight to propel yourself forward. On an elliptical, you're literally just pedaling against whatever resistance the machine can offer you, and in a lot of cases that's not a very high resistance, at least not high enough to actually do a lot of work. Now that's not to say, again, the occasional elliptical sprint or elliptical interval will serve a purpose, but if you compare sprinting 200 meters versus a similar duration sprint on elliptical, I think you'll find that a 200 meter sprint on a track is going to provide a lot more of a fat burning effect. Another example would be jump rope, and I hate to say this because I love jumping rope, I truly do. I include it in my programs currently, but the problem with jumping rope is you're limited very much by the speed. So if we go by our criteria, it's not really loadable. You don't want to be doing jumps with 150 pounds strapped to your back. So it's not really loadable the way squats or deadlifts are. It's not really able to produce maximal power outputs because you have a limited amount of height you can jump to get the rope under you. You're not doing maximal jumps. The other thing is the speed issue. So you may think you're jumping rope fast, but really you're limited by how fast you can turn your wrists and how fast the rope can get around. So it's not really a maximal speed exercise. Now again, I love jumping rope and I do think it has its place, but again, we're talking best. We're not talking what's good or what might work. We're talking best. And if best is what you need to have maximal outputs, it needs to be loadable in terms of weight, speed, or oxygen consumption, and you need to be able to consume a lot of oxygen, so it needs to make you out of breath in some capacity, like a 20 rep max in the back squat, 400 meter sprint, 30-minute Nordic skiing excursion, those types of things. So that's what you're looking for the best fat burning exercise. Hope that clears some things up for you. If you like this video, hit subscribe below, leave comments on the blog. I'm Coach Ryan from the Fat Loss Solution. I'll see you next time.